Japanese, the word kaeru means to both come back or come back home, but it is also a homonym for the word frog. And so Okaeri, which is what Japanese say, when someone comes back home from school or work, they would say Okaeri. And so it means like welcome home, but it's also kind of tied to the word for frog. Just in case you were wondering why there is a frog up there. However, we thought that would capture some of the theme and some of the feelings that we wanted to bring to this gathering. This all started when Marcia Izumi and I got together for coffee in Silver Lake, where I live, and we were chatting about, I had just read her book, and she shared how oftentimes it was difficult. There were not many people for her to talk to, or her son. And so it's something that they had to kind of work through without too much outside help, although there were groups like PFLAG and groups like that, but not in the Asian or JA community. And so the idea of having a gathering where people from the Nikkei community could come together, could feel safe, could feel welcome and accepted, would be a good thing, so that perhaps other people wouldn't have to struggle and go through what her family did.
Tadaima. I'm home, Mom.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry. Oh, gee. Okaeri, Aiden, welcome home. Oh my gosh.
When I came out, it's actually going to be 6 years at the end of this month. I felt very excited and very empowered, but I also felt extremely terrified because I didn't know exactly what the road ahead of me was going to look like. I had found a community of LGBTQ people online and from all over the country and the world, but what I felt was missing from that community was the voices of the Nikkei people.
We didn't want Okaeri just to be one conference, you know, it's like a one-shot wonder. We really wanted it to be an effort for culture shift in our community to really undo homophobia and transphobia that's just so harmful to all of us, no matter how you identify.
This is a thrilling thing for someone like me who has been out for almost 20 years and never even knew that there was a Nikkei community of people like me.
George and Brad Takei were married in the Tattoochi Democracy Forum and had the reception here. It was at the time a very controversial event in the history of the museum, but sort of a watershed moment as well in making this place as open and inclusive as possible.
All week I've been hearing the same kind of quote from Oprah, and I thought how appropriate it's going to be for Okaeri. And what she said was this. She said, no matter who she talks to, their experiences, their interviews, any conversation, what she hears is people want to know, do you see them? Do you hear them? And is what they say, does that matter? And so I think that's one of my greatest hopes today, is that when you leave, you know you've been seen, you know you've been heard, and you know that you truly matter. Thank you so much for being here.
the importance of having people of faith represented here is that the Christian church anyway has done a lot of damage in terms of marginalizing LGBT people, and so I wanted to make sure that people who identify as LGBT know that they can also embrace a faith.
What we're talking about when you look at the Bible about same gender relationships is completely different than what we're talking about today. I mean, people try to equate what's happening today to over 2,000 years ago, and you just cannot do that.
You know, I didn't speak to my parents for 10 years because I didn't think that they saw me or heard me or understood my experiences as a gay man.
There's something very healing about being witnessed and having your voice heard. You know, I knew that I was gay when I was 5 years old, without a doubt, you know, without even knowing what it exactly meant. And so, you know, there's a kind of a huge gap in understanding around my identity as a gay man, as a human being, the way that I see love and, you know, how I've walked in the world as a gay man. So I really see this as an opportunity for a lot of people to get seen and heard.
Biological sex is like, don't we all have that kind of thing? As opposed to like some are biological and some are not. So,
if you feel like you're having trouble honing in on your bullet points, you may have already talked about it earlier when you talked about your own personal intersections. Okay? So just write those down. Thank you. Everybody knows what it happens in the Asian community a lot.
I feel like oftentimes like this can be done just by young people, you know, wanting to like push the boundaries or whatever. But it's so reaffirming when our elders are really stepping in, sharing resources, and generously like wanting to learn. And I think like LGBTQ folks, on the other hand, are being very generous and wanting to share, and us all getting to learn from each other and grow. So I think that's been really transformational.
Is that more difficult for your friends than to see somebody come out as gay or lesbian?
The generation gap is a lot different from like when you guys were growing up and from when we were growing up. So for like a lot of my friends, they're mostly accepting. Like if they weren't, then I would have been friends with them.
Just being amongst peers of mine that are around my age, like around 30, and who are either coming out or who are queer or trans, being next to those Nikkei folks, and also with the older folks, the older people, you know, my elders that know what marginalization means and knows what that feels like and knows what imprisonment feels like, and so this like relationship is just connected in that moment. Just being in this room, you know, and seeing each other together is pretty monumental. Yeah.
おじいちゃんの守りを取ってください。おばあちゃんも覚えてください。覚えて。覚えて知らない人と血がつながってるなんて採用した子供みたいみたいおじいちゃんお守りを持ってくださいおばあちゃんも思い出していく少しずつ
To me, this is kind of an extension of the movement for redress and reparations. You know, I always said that the most important aspect of the redress movement wasn't the $20,000 checks that people got, because that was just a token. Those were just token payments anyway. The most important aspect of the redress movement was that it allowed Japanese Americans to come out of the closet and to admit that we were interned and that we had gotten dissed and that the treatment was not right, which for years nobody said out loud. And along those same lines, an event like Okaeri now gives LGBTQ persons in the community permission to come out and to express themselves fully, and for non-LGBTQ persons like myself to know who these people are, so that I can affirm my friendships and my support for them.
Just close your eyes for a moment and just drop into your heart space and take a deep breath.
Is our contribution as Japanese Americans, as Japanese American queer people, our contribution comes to some extent from our solidarity, but not just that, but our message of justice to every other community that could be an ally. And that outreach, it seems to me, has to cross those lines that you're talking about between straight and ethnic and not, and whatever you want to say about that, men and women. There's all different ways to come together with empathy and with a commitment to the common good. And that is ultimate. It seems to me, if we can make that message clear, that is the process that we go through, and that is the goal.
Maya is a 4th grader, so she's a young lady. Taiko, basketball, karate, reading, writing, art. She's been a part of The Great Leap, Motanai, and other videos. She's been in the Tuesday Night Cafe doing poetry readings. She is a rising star. We are so privileged to have Maya Osumi. Please come on up. Kuida Osumi. Maya, please come on up. Give her a round of applause.
No one had ever seen a rainbow before. Kiki's parents felt embarrassed. They forced her to hide her true colors. The other clouds teased her. She felt left out. Kiki thought that life could be better, so she asked the 3 wisest forces she knew for advice: the sun, the moon, and the stars. First, she asked the sun. Kiki asked, "Why do I have to hide myself? Why should I? What should I do?" The sun responded, "Follow your passion, live your dream." Next, Kiki asked the moon, "Moon, why can't I be myself? Why do I have to hide?" The moon replied, "Always be true to yourself. Listen to your heart." Lastly, Kiki asked the stars, "Stars, why can't I be myself? Why do I have to hide?" The stars said, "Shine brightly and come out of the shadows." Kiki thought about what the sun, moon, and her stars had said. "You know, I'm tired of hiding." Suddenly, she exploded with beautiful colors and turned into a humongous rainbow that the whole world could see. She felt happy and proud of what she had done. She inspired others and started seeing beautiful rainbows popping out of the sky. The end.